Welcome, low ego action heroes. This is Debbie Levitt from deltacx.com. We're a full service CX and UX consultancy. Check us out. Still haven't updated the website. And welcome to the Tuesday show, which is usually office hours, Ask Me Anything. And I'll be here for an hour taking your questions live. Hello, Manuel. Now, today we were supposed to have a guest, and I even checked with him yesterday, and he hasn't shown up. So if he does show up, we will certainly add him to the show, which is why I'm wearing my headphones, because I might hear him before I see him. But if he shows up, he'll be included. And if he doesn't show up, he won't be included. So I don't know what happened there. Of course, thanks to Stream Elements for running our bot. I'm just going to turn on his voice in my head in case I hear him before I see him. But oops, I tried. So, as always, let's thank all of the low ego action heroes who are donating to the YouTube channel. And people are giving $3 to $10 American dollars per month to help support the show, keep me in streaming software and chocolate chips, which I certainly ate today. So thank you very much to everybody giving. It is totally optional, but always recommended. Not recommended, appreciated. Do not recommend. Solomon says, do you use the YouTube mobile app? Have you noticed subtle changes to the UI over the last few months? I do use the YouTube app daily. I watch lots of videos. What did you notice? I'm also an Android. I don't know if you're an Android or iOS. You tell me. So we're going to jump in. I got a bunch of questions ahead of time. If you have a question, you can go to deltacx.com/links to send it in anonymously. I'll do my best to watch for questions coming up. And I've taken all the ones that were sent in already and put them in the queue. You can also ask in the live chat, which will show up on the screen, and I'll get you in order. Questions are answered in order, but they are free, so they're worth definitely what you're paying to have your question answered. Our first question today looks like this. In your Ask Me Anything with Dr. Nick on October 11, you both mentioned that in an interview, a way to detect authenticity is to judge based on the speed of answering in-depth questions about design directions. Do you have any suggestions if someone genuinely has trouble remembering things that are old and take some time to remember, or ask that we can come back to it later? How to navigate this situation without looking like you stole stuff for your portfolio? Super question, and I'm sorry if we gave you the impression that speed is the only thing we're looking for. It's definitely not. We know that people, I'm going to speak for Dr. Nick, but you know, we certainly know that there are people who don't remember details, who might get very anxious in interviews, who might have different diagnoses and conditions that make questions like this very stressful or difficult. So no, speed is not the only thing I'm looking for in a situation like this. In fact, in episode 128, we said there's nothing wrong with if an interviewer asks you a question, if you say, may I have a moment to think about my answer? So I'm certainly not going to give you advice that the fastest answer is the best or only answer. I think that more than speed, because I'm not going to judge you by speed, maybe Dr. Nick is, he's not here, catch him in a few weeks. But I know that I'm usually looking for the depth and the quality of the answer. And I think that would give it away for me more than the speed. So I would say, don't be too hung up on speed. If you say, that project was a while ago, let me think about it, but then you have a really deep, complete answer, then I'm going to think that this was really your project and you can answer those complicated questions to it. If you take a moment to think about it and your answer still seems kind of fake and strange or boilerplate, over-rehearsed, then I think that would give it away. So I would say don't worry as much about the speed. It's definitely okay if you take a little time to answer questions. I'm sorry if I didn't jump in at the time and speak to that. I don't want everybody to think that if you don't have a perfect answer right away, we think you're a thief. I would have to say that's not the case. Solomon says, from changing the settings icons from a gear to a list to rounding out the corner of buttons, everything feels circular. All right, let me take a look, because I really am in my YouTube app freaking constantly. And again, I'm an Android. Solomon, are you Android or iOS? The settings icon from a gear to a list. I've never had a gear. Do you mean this settings icon? Like once you press your name or your avatar? This is my secret personal account. Okay, iOS. So yeah, I mean, to get to that, I press my avatar in the top right. I promise we'll get back to questions in a moment. And then I have settings, but it is a gear. So I'm wondering if mine is just more, I mean, YouTube is Google, Google is Android. I wonder if I just have more stock Android look and you have maybe more of a iOS relevant look. That would be the smart thing to do. I always recommend that companies design for the device and not just make one design and release it to everybody. So you might be seeing things I'm not seeing. Oh no, the settings icon from the video when you try to change the playback speed. All right, let's take a look. Change the playback speed. All right, let's see. Here's a video I'm going to watch tonight when I go to sleep. I still have an icon. And when I press the icon, I still have a list. I don't know. Playback. It looks normal to me. I've always had an icon, and then the icon gives me a list, and playback speed is on there. So I don't know what you're talking about. Hey Chiwa, thanks for staying up to hang out with us. Ambient mode. I do not know about that. So, and I'm in this app all day long, so I don't know. I think they're rolling out the changes in batches. That's always possible. Though I do have my Google Play Store is America, so I usually do get some of the earlier changes. All right, let me put in our next question, and we'll keep on a-rollin'. Here we go. Oh, also, let me just open up my email to make sure I'm not missing anybody's questions. Yes, we just had an anonymous question come in. I promise I will copy-paste you onto the list in just a moment after we look at this one. Perhaps I'm overthinking this. I normally receive scope, etc. from product owners. We don't really measure design success at my company. Now I'm trying to get the design process started by establishing goals and success metrics for projects. We usually have a problem statement. Is it wise to also have the opposite of the problem statement as goals, or is it overkill? And the goals should be more of a generic UX goals. I always thought of separating them into user goals and business goals. What are your thoughts? Okay, I've got lots of thoughts here. It's a really great, interesting, multidimensional question. So thanks to the mystery person who asked it. First of all, goals and success metrics for projects. Yes, definitely. I think teams don't do this enough. So yes, for sure. Problem statement, absolutely. And that has to be well written and solution agnostic. Do not say there's a problem and we're going to solve it like this. That's no longer a problem statement. So problem statement is solution agnostic and just sums up the problem. Can we have an opposite of a problem statement as a goal? Well, certainly you could have success criteria and failure criteria. What would it look like to succeed? How will we measure that we succeeded? And what would it look like to fail? And are there metrics or things that would tell us that we failed? So that doesn't have to be the opposite of the problem statement, but it could be a couple of things that we could look for in the project or after the project that would tell us we did not solve this problem. So I don't think the opposite of the problem statement makes sense. For example, a sample problem statement that I use in my book that's coming out is customers would like to simply be able to replace their credit cards in their account area. Well, it doesn't, what's the opposite of that? Customers want it to be difficult. Customers want to not be able to replace credit cards in the account area. So I don't think the opposite or converse would make sense, but I think we can look at failure criteria. How will we know we didn't solve this problem? How will we know we went in the wrong direction? Is it overkill? No, it's part of risk management, risk mitigation. I don't think that's overkill. Should the goals be generic UX goals? What about separating them into user goals and business goals? Yeah, I think separating them into user goals and business goals is important because they're usually not the same. The business might say, we want to see more sales. We want to see people buying more things. And the user might want to see something be simpler. Now, hopefully making it simpler for the user leads to the business seeing more sales, more conversions, more whatever that they're looking for, sometimes less of something. So you do want to try to see if these two are tied together in some way. I do have a new model that I have semi-invented that will be in my new book. It is my extremely different variation of an impact map, and it kind of goes in this direction. So my book will be out in early December. Sorry to make you wait 6 weeks, but I will be attacking it in a more detailed way then. And of course, once my book is out, I will stop keeping secrets about some of the new things that are in it, and then I'll be able to talk more openly in the shows about some of the new models and stuff that I've created. Because I have a thief, and it's not a hey Udipta. So yeah, I think these are all good ideas. I think if you need some help, contact me privately, but I think all of these are good ideas, and make sure that your metrics are looking for both whatever business success you're looking for, 2% more registrations, whatever it might be, and you have to look for UX success, which is usually something that the customer would find to be quality, value, 5 stars out of 5, improvement, efficiency. So some way to measure that. It's probably not NPS. That's a little bit too broad and generic. Like, would you recommend us? Well, that doesn't tell us if this task got better. So we do need to have more task-specific metrics, which of course is also in the book. Hi, Thais, can't wait. I know I can't either. I'm now reading it out loud and making lots of final fixes. I'm really hoping to have it done by the end of the weekend, at which point it will go up on Amazon for pre-order while I have some paper books sent to me to check how the cover prints. Woo! All right, before I forget, let me get the, what's the word I'm looking for? The anonymous question that came in. You're not next. There's a few people on the list before you, but I want to remember to add you to the list before the day rolls away from me. Okay, a stakeholder question. Okay, that will go on the end of the list, and let me go back to the list and grab our next question. Okay, this is about a department being reorganized. Always scary. So let's get that. Hey, Nadu. And Thais, good to see you. And let's see. Speaking of seeing nice people, by the way, please don't forget that every month we do a fun hangout and networking adventure. It's always the first Thursday of every month at 6:30 p.m. Italy time. That means it's coming up next week. Next Thursday is November 3rd already. And we're going to try it in a new virtual online setting because I'm trying to leave my current virtual online venue provider. So we're going to try something new. It's always free. We'd love to see you there. And the link is usually in Slack and Discord. And hey, would you like to join our Slack and Discord? They're totally free. deltacx.com/links will lead you there. We welcome you there. And, please lean on each other and me for help. All right, let's put up this reorganizing question. Our UX division is being reorganized. Yeah, hey Linda, I hope you'll be there. Our UX division is being reorganized. No mention of layoffs yet. So far the process seems haphazard and hastily slapped together. What do you recommend for getting through upheaval and uncertainty? Super question, and of course extremely relevant for a lot of people right now with the economy taking a dip and companies having a lot of layoffs and hiring freezes and reorganizations. So how do you handle this? First of all, UX always has to come with instability. A lot of people say, I want a good, stable job in UX, and I always say it doesn't exist. We are often among the first to be cut or laid off. So that's the bad news. The bad news is I'm not going to say anything reassuring right now. We are unfortunately often the first to be laid off. What can you do about it? The best thing that you can do about it is to always be ready to apply to new jobs. This means having your CV or resume updated and ready to go. That means don't wait until you get laid off. Don't wait until a disaster happens. You're already going to be stressed out about that. That is not the good mind frame for trying to clean up your CV and your portfolio. I'm sure you might be stuck doing it then anyway, but always best to look at your CV or portfolio as you go. In fact, do yourself a favor. Put a reminder in your calendar the first Saturday of every month. you know, before you go to bed or early in the morning if you're a morning person. Hey, the first Saturday of every month, I'm usually not doing anything at 9 a.m. I've just woken up. I'm having my coffee. You know what? I'm going to read through my resume and look at my portfolio and see what I can improve. Once a month, I'm just going to make it a little bit better. That way, if something happens, it's not like you haven't looked at your CV in a year. You are ready. So I think the best thing that you can do is remember that jobs are not stable right now, even full-time jobs that felt stable. So other than emotionally dealing with the uncertainty and possibly being laid off, you need to be ready to start applying and start interviewing. And that means having your portfolio always ready to go and that resume or CV updated. Thais says, if I may add, develop relationships with recruiters. When something happens, you know who to reach out to. Absolutely. When I lived in San Francisco, I had a mailing list of my 24 favorite recruiters. They had either gotten me a job or gotten me an interview or tried darn hard. And whenever I was available, I would just send them an email and say, hey, it's me, Debbie. I'm available. I'm looking for this. Here's my resume. Here's something new in my portfolio. Let me know what you've got. Thais is totally right. And Solomon reminds us, documentation goes a long way to building a detailed case study. Document your problem statements, how you answered them, briefs, the chain of decisions that led to your decision, to any design or decisions. That's right. Do it as you go at your job. You don't save it on your work computer. Make sure, again, don't steal confidential information from your company, but anything you're allowed to screenshot, even if it gets anonymized or scrubbed or redacted in some way, get your screenshots, make your notes about your stuff. Remind yourself at least once a month to do this stuff because you never know when that hammer falls and then you go, wow, I don't have a work computer anymore. I don't have access to any of my stuff. Now I have to piece it together from memory and I have no screenshots. Don't be that person. I always took screenshots as I went. And I put them in an appropriate place. I don't share confidential information. So just because I had a screenshot doesn't mean I shared it or anyone saw it. Have your screenshots, have your notes. Be ready to write that case study. Work on that case study. Not Thais, don't worry about typos. I know what people means. Vanya says, good point. Nadu says, I keep making documentation for my case studies. It's really helpful. That's right. I think the problem is we feel like having to get our portfolio ready is a freaking avalanche. And I go through this too. I mean, I did a job this year from January to July. I expected in August to write up a case study and have it on my website. I haven't even started. Okay, I'm writing a book. I'm a little busy, but we're all busy. Some of you are busy with families. Some of you are busy with health issues. Everybody's busy. So we just have to remember, no matter how complex or busy our lives are, or whatever struggles we have, we still have to make sure we're staying on top of this stuff. Solomon says, don't forget to get before and afters. Yeah, screenshot those before and afters, again, showing what you can legally show, especially if the before was publicly available stuff. You can absolutely show the before, and if the design you did went live to the public, you can absolutely show the after. But again, don't share confidential information. Solomon says, if you drastically change the UI, you need to know what it used to look like and how it used to work. Yes, totally right. Caitlin says, I have a question about task analysis. Okay, cool. Let me put your question on the end. I answer questions in the order that I got them, and you are not the next question, Caitlin, but I would love to answer that one. But knowing the speed of my question answering, it might be in 10 or so minutes. You can see I am pretty thorough, and I think we have 3 questions before you. So person who asked about that, layoffs and reorg, good luck. Always sucks. Never works out well. Even if you stay, there's always people you care about who left. There's always a manager or leader you like who's gone. So it always sucks. And all I can say is join our Slack and Discord, post to social friendly, and lean on us. Lean on us for support. We are all here for you. More anonymous questions coming in. I like to think to do this a reminder to what I've done in the past. Yes. Okay, next question. After generative research, one-on-one interviews, is completed, what's the best way to present the findings? Is a report an appropriate medium? And if so, should the content and structure differ from an evaluative report? Oh, Ekta's got a follow-up question about the last question. Let's quickly answer that. What about SaaS work? It's not going to go live to all the public, but to clients or clients' clients. Yes, remember, if it is live to the public and someone could have seen it or screenshot it, I think it's typically fair game. Now, of course, there's gray areas there, and someone might say, no, Deb, no. But I think that it can be fair game, especially if your company has ever released public training videos showing off some of what the system looks like. Then the system is kind of out there, even if you can't see it unless you sign up or pay. If there's any screenshots of it out there, if your company has written training about it, if there's stuff in help files about it, then people have seen this design, and you're not giving away a secret. Remember, you just want to make sure you are protecting confidential information, things that never went to the public, or secrets. If you're worried about a gray area, contact me privately and I'll try to help you navigate it, because again, I believe very, very strongly in adhering to confidentiality and non-disclosure agreements. I am not one of those people who posts to LinkedIn or Twitter, F that, it's your work, you can show it. Not true. You signed something that says you will not do that. So important. Okay, back to this question. Sorry, where am I? Over here. Help, mirror image. Okay, so after generative research and interviews are done, you are not presenting the findings. You still have to analyze and synthesize these. If you didn't do that, I'm a little worried. Thanks, Elena, for the heart. I'm a little worried if you did not do that. Hey, well, how come the heart didn't float by? Let's refresh our overlay. So there we go. Thank you. So, oh, it's even right here. So, first of all, I hope you're not jumping from interviews to a report. There are definitely research steps that we need to take in between. Everybody sing along with me. Okay, you did your sessions. That's your execution. Don't forget your analysis and your synthesis before any sort of reporting. So I'm assuming that you implied that and you're going to do it and you're very good. So what now? I always like to work with stakeholders in my planning phase to see how they prefer any sort of report. Many people want different things for different reasons, and I like to say yes to everybody. Some stakeholders want an Excel spreadsheet of all the problems and pain points you found. Some of them want you to prioritize it. Some of them want PowerPoints with some high-level key findings, the key insights, maybe not the findings, the key insights, the key opportunities, the worst pain points, and your advice of what we should do about them. I've had some clients who I offer them a long-form report where I go into extensive detail about everything I found, including insights, opportunities, and suggestions, but super detail on findings. These reports are often 80 pages, and I've had some clients say they want them, and I've had some clients read them and have conversations with me that tell me that they read them. So to me, it's really about what is going to serve your team and your stakeholders the best, and that's what I deliver. I also love to deliver video clip montages. Yes, I like to make recorded sessions available to everybody, but I also like to organize video clips by theme. That way they're themes that match my presentation or report. Hey, here's a 6-minute video of 8 people who hate our checkout. Hey, here's a 3-minute video of 4 people who had trouble signing up. Really powerful stuff, and it can be in short bites. I love that stuff. Even if people don't ask for it, they're probably getting it anyway. So that's an opportunity for collaboration to learn what they need and for you to deliver what they need the way they need it. Miriam says, hi, Debbie. Is that a question? It's, I think that's a question. Yes. Okay. So Miriam, thanks for joining. I think you're new here. Welcome, welcome. And I will add your question to the end. I think there's 3 or 4 questions before you, and I still have to run over to the anonymous one and pick up that question. So please hold. And let me flip over to anonymous land. Anonymous. Oh, 2 anonymous questions. 8 minutes ago and 12 minutes ago. Let's see. What did I miss? Okay. Documenting question. And I'm going to take a question out of order because I think it's a little bit of a follow-up to what we're talking about right now. So let me shuffle these around. Give me a moment. Oh, and by the way, for the person who asked for an evaluative research report, depending upon my team, sometimes I don't even make an evaluative research report. I either am the designer or I work with the designers on what we learned, and it's very informal. It might even be a quick Miro board. Sometimes it's a formal report and a presentation. So I can't say there's one right way. To me, the one right way is whatever is going to best serve the team and the project. All right. Let's get the question I think makes a good follow-up question and sneak it in a little bit early and see what else is going on in the chat room. We've got Miriam's question at the end now. Okay, so this question I think makes a good follow-up. It says, what questions do you ask or want to know when starting UX project with stakeholders? Yes. So speaking with stakeholders at the beginning is important, and do not skip it. Now, speaking with stakeholders doesn't mean that we do everything they say. Remember, that's being an order taker, not a problem finder and solver. But we still have to talk to these people and find out things like, what are their goals for this project? Is there something in particular they need related to this project? Is there something they're under pressure to show or deliver to someone above them? Sometimes they're like, yeah, we have this project and, I really just need to show that we're getting more people registering. Okay, well, hold on. I want to know more about your problem, because as much as I want to solve problems for users and customers, I want to solve them for my teammates as well. So I really want to get to know more about stakeholders, their work problems, what they're under pressure to deliver. I think our guest is not going to come. I think I can take off my headphones. All right. We were supposed to have a guest today, and he didn't show up, and I don't see an email from him. So I don't know what happened. Hopefully we can reschedule him. Hopefully he's okay. And hopefully we'll reschedule him. So sorry about that. So definitely talk to stakeholders about some of the things I just said, like about what kind of documentation or reporting helps them the most. Find out what KPIs and metrics that they are interested in or they are under pressure to show are going up or down. That's really important also. Remember that you are there to help customers, but help your teammates. Also, if you are the researcher, then you are going to want to ask the stakeholder, the big four. Let's see if I can remember them. Guesses and assumptions, information the stakeholder has that could be outdated, unanswered questions that the stakeholder just wishes they knew more about, and has anyone read my book lately and remember the fourth thing? Anyway, in the book, and I got this idea from someone else, I can't claim to have invented this. You make like a Miro board and a quadrant, and people, including your stakeholders, can put stickies on this with guesses and assumptions, potentially outdated information, things they wish they knew, and I forgot the fourth one, but anyway, you get the point of where that's going. And that way, if you are the researcher and you're planning research, you can make sure that your research is going to fill those knowledge gaps and inform your teammates. That doesn't mean you ask questions exactly the way someone writes it on one of the stickies. You still have to turn it into good research and good questions, but you can certainly understand what they want to know and how you can help fill in that knowledge. So these are some of the things that I would talk to stakeholders about at the beginning of a project. Thank you for the question. All right, next question. Hi, Debbie. What's your, if you have one, stance on Sarah Duty's Career Strategy Lab offering? Thanks. Taya says, I don't think it's an exclusive issue for UX designers, developers, business analysts, project managers. It's the way the market's behaving. They just want people ready to go. Oh, I don't know what Tyus is referring to. This might not be this question. Sometimes people are behind time-wise if they joined a little late. So we miss you, Tyus. Catch up. So first of all, Sarah Duty and I, not friends. I don't follow her. I'm not interested in her. I would say there aren't positive relations there, though I haven't specifically fought with her. So that also means I am unfamiliar with her offerings. I've heard some people talk about some of her career strategy or resume or portfolio advice, and that she has some sort of masterclass or paid Slack group or whatever. Look, the bottom line is, if it works for you, it works for you, and it doesn't matter what I think of it. Oh, responding to Miriam. Okay, her question's coming later. I think a good thing for you to do, if you're part of our Slack or Discord communities or both, ask the question there. Put it under education media. Education media is one of our channels, and this sounds like it's relevant to education. Because maybe you're being educated in some way with career advice. So I would probably put it in the education media channel and just ask, has anybody done that? And what was their experience? And see if you can get some comments from people who have done it. I haven't done it, and I'm not sure I know anybody who has. But you know, ultimately what I tell people is these mastermind groups or Slack or Discords, even our Slack or Discord, is only worth what it brings to you. If it helps you in any way, if it's a positive experience, if it's fun or supportive, paid or unpaid, if it's a positive experience, do it, stick with it. If it's no longer a positive experience or you want to take a break from it, paid or unpaid, take a break from it. So I am not familiar with her career strategy lab. Try to find some people who went through it. I don't know. Anybody do Sarah Duty's career strategy lab and want to share something about it? Because I don't know. Good luck. Okay. This was a question that rolled in before. Caitlin's question. We're finally up to you. Thanks for your patience. I have a question about task analysis from the conference and your videos with Larry. Thanks for coming to Concentric last week and going to Larry's workshop. I hope you liked it. What are the user steps based only on one observation? So Caitlin, I'm not sure what you mean about one observation, but if you mean one participant, like Debbie is going to watch one person and then do a task analysis, the answer is definitely not. We still want to watch the correct number of whatever number of personas or segments or buckets that we have. If you have 3 target audiences, you still want to watch, I usually say 8 to 12. Larry usually says at least 6, but I just think that's because he's more efficient at it than the rest of us. But I would say you definitely still want to watch a bunch of people, because remember, people are going to do things differently. If I ask you, how do you do your hair? And I only watch one person do their hair, I'm going to have a very narrow view of the task of doing your hair. But if I get 8 to 12 people and I get short hair, long hair, curly hair, straight hair, hair loss, no hair loss, people with disabilities, people without disabilities, people who are highly fashion conscious, people like me who don't give a crap what they look like, other than I'm unhappy with my weight. So again, that's where the idea of having more people, and eventually you just have too many people, but hypothetically that's where getting a good mix of people tells us, aha, even though this task tends to have some steps, for different people they happen in different orders or happen in different ways. So if you look at the task analysis, even though it starts out like a linear flow chart, you'll see places where it branches. And that way you can show, oh, you know, some people over here used a comb, some people used a brush, some people used a pick, some people used an animal bone, whatever it is. And that way you can show that there's different things happening at a certain step. Caitlin says, how do you indicate decisions in task analysis? I have so many different steps. My green stickers are starting to point to many other green stickers. We did that for one of our clients. We actually did it where we made it a little more flowcharty than Larry's usual unflowcharty version. We did have things pointing to things. We had a couple of dotted lines pointing to things. I think that's still the way to go. go. You just have to leave room next to stuff for your oranges and your purple stickies. I know I'm talking inside baseball a little bit. If you don't know what I'm talking about, see the task analysis video in the micro lessons playlist to learn all about it. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, we had a task analysis end up freaking huge because we realized that the task was 4 subtasks glued together that happened at different times for different reasons. So we had a giant task analysis for 4 things, and then we had to draw all these lines to show where they kind of came together. It was a lot. It was even a little bit much for us, and it was a little bit much for the client. Super, sorry, something weird's in my shirt. It's probably my own hair. That was my hand. Super props to Ralica, a friend of the show, who did a great job on that task analysis. Just really fantastic. So yes, sometimes a task analysis is not some of the simpler examples that Larry likes to show. Sometimes it absolutely does get more complicated with more branches and steps. It's not like a completely traditional flow chart where you might have a diamond showing a decision. It still looks more like then they took this step, then they took this step, then they took this step. But your decision stuff could be purple stickies because that's knowledge. So it could be, did people know that they could do this or that? Did the people brushing their hair know that they could use a comb? Did the people combing their hair know that they could whatever? So knowledge of that stuff, you know, like I'm very picky about how I brush my hair because I have really thin, breakable hair. So I'm not going to use a brush. It's going to tear it to pieces. But I have to have that knowledge. And not everybody's going to have that knowledge. So that's an example of where it's not necessarily a decision point like a traditional flow chart, but it's definitely a purple sticky. Oh, Ralica, good word from you means a lot for me. I have nothing but good words for you. You're kidding? You're awesome. And you know, even though Ralica has a job, go hire her, everybody. Steal her away from her job. Let's see. What else? Am I missing any anonymous questions? Ooh, no. Okay, so let's go back to the list of questions and the chat room. Okay, let's see. Documenting. Okay, an anonymous question came in on documenting. How can I get better at documenting? What should I document? Yeah, so, Caitlin says, my task analysis is a monster. There's a lot in there. Any tips for wrangling it? Break it into subtasks. Chances are these are subtasks. Sure, it could be one really long, complicated task, but I wonder if there are subtasks in there and you can just take a little bit more of a bite-sized approach to the subtasks. Like for the one we did, even though it was buying a certain item online, we had task 1, some of the early planning and decision making to buy it. Plan 2 was deciding some things around what vendor you were going to shop on. Task 3 was looking at different items and comparing them and pricing and deciding on that. And then 4 was buying it. So see if you can break it down a little bit by seeing where there are subtasks. Oh gosh, thanks, Ralica. Don't cover me in butter. So documenting, and what should I document? I don't know. That's a tough one because I suggest documenting everything. Document your ideas. Document decisions your team makes. Document bad decisions your team makes. Document reasons why a design you came up with is a good design. Document reasons why it's a bad design. I've actually done that. Oh, hold on. My guest is emailing me. Let's see. What does he say? I'm not seeing an event on my calendar. Let's write back. The show is nearly over. We will have to reschedule. Google says you said yes to the calendar item, so I thought we were set. Hey, it happens, everybody. So we'll just have to reschedule that, guys. Sometimes calendars get funky. It's a UX thing. So yeah, document everything. How can I get better at documenting? Documenting is about having notes and screenshots and records and files of what happened. What did people think about it? What did people say about it? So that, let's say somebody new joins your company in a year. Could they look back at this documentation and understand the project? Could they read the documentation without you telling them stuff and understand what happened? What didn't happen? What went right or wrong? What designs did we try that worked out? What designs didn't work out? What kind of testing did we do? And how did that go? What did we learn in... Hey, honey.
Yeah.
I have a stink bug on my light. Can you find a way to remove him carefully? Thanks. Anyway, sorry everybody, but I'm looking right at it and it's weird. It's on the right side. He's flying around and making me...
Yeah, there's really not a lot of ways.
There's not a lot of ways.
Maybe with design thinking.
With design thinking, my boyfriend says. Use design thinking to get rid of the bug. Oh, I love it. Let's all try it together, everybody.
Meow,
Meow, meow, design thinking. Bug, go away. Okay. Oh, he's flying. It's working. Design thinking works. It's amazing. Oh, thank you, honey. You're the best. Tai says, it's a skill you improve with time. I'm obsessed with documentation. I like Notion and OneNote. Depending upon what I'm documenting, sometimes it's Google Docs for me. Sometimes it's Google Keep. Sometimes it's Monday.com. Of course, hashtag not sponsored. But these are some of the things that I sometimes use. So, keep practicing and find someone at your company who's familiar with the project. And also, as you onboard new people, find out what do they wish they knew about this project. It will give you some ideas of like, oops, what should I have put in this documentation? But seriously, when I did heavy documentation at jobs as a designer, not necessarily as a researcher, I would put what decisions did we make? What evidence do we have that this design should work for our customers? What evidence do we have that says this design doesn't work? Sometimes somebody else would show up with a design. Hey, the product manager made a design. Okay, let's add it to the documentation and write what we think could work about it and what we think doesn't work about it. Everything. Let's see. Sorry, it's our guest apologizing for the Google Calendar mistake. Well, it's not his mistake. If it's not showing up in his calendar, he can't show up. All right, we have a long question, and then we have another question. Got two questions. All right, this is a long one. Let me drop down the font. There it is. There we go. I'm a senior UX designer with close to 6 years of UX experience at a product org. I have a thing product management. I'm guessing I have a thing for product management. Like I'm into it. I'm interested in it. At this stage of my career, I'm confused whether I should climb the corporate ladder in design or should I switch into product management. I enjoy interaction design and user research. However, I think I would thrive well in a PM role. Additionally, I think a PM role would be more rewarding in the long run. What do you think? I think it really depends what you're after. It's going to be an it depends. Different people want different things out of their jobs, and I definitely can't tell you what job is going to be right or best for you. I can only try to help you think through some of the pros and cons. Obviously, if you move into product management, unless you're at one of those companies that doesn't believe in UX designers and believes that product managers do UX design, you're probably not doing the UX design anymore. So you have to check what skills they're looking for in a product manager. Certainly, if there are UX designers at this company, you're going to kind of need to stay out of their turf. Do not be like, well, I came from 6 years of UX design, so let me tell you. You can definitely have empathy. Everybody say it with me, empathy. Put yourself in that designer's shoes and realize that experience might suck. So remember, if you are moving into product management, depending upon the environment of the organization and who's working in UX, UX might not be your realm or your domain anymore, and you probably should not be exerting any power over the UX designers. Hopefully they have a good manager and they're doing good work. So you might need to be getting out of it completely. If the company is combining product management and UX design jobs, then great. You can try to do both. The question is, do you have time to do both well? That's a whole other story. I think you can climb the corporate ladder in either one, but it's really up to you. Again, so you could climb the corporate ladder in design. You could climb the corporate ladder in product. I don't know if you would be starting now as a junior or mid-level product manager, because it would be your first product management job, whereas you should probably be at the senior or lead or possibly principal level for design. So I don't know if jumping into product management, you're probably not going to be a senior product manager if it's your first time doing product management. I think ultimately, and I do say this in my book, and I know it'll be a little controversial, but I do think that aspects of product and UX are going to come together, but not necessarily in ways that people might prefer. We see product managers trying to land grab UX research and UX design. In fact, we'll be talking about it on tomorrow's show. Tomorrow's show is all about democratization and what's wrong with democratization, or anybody's a designer, or product managers can do research. It's going to be at a special time, a little bit later than usual. It's going to be 8 p.m. Italy time, and Dr. Ari is going to be our guest. So please do tune in tomorrow for that adventure. Did I just successfully use design thinking? Yes, you did, honey. I don't know where the bug went. You did it. You did it. Your design thinking made the bug go away. I don't see him.
No, I threw it away.
Oh, you threw him away. Thank you. Damn it. I thought it was your design thinking. You totally had me fooled there.
It's
Design stinking because it was a stink bug?
Yeah.
That's very good, honey. I'll give you a rim shot on the badoom 6, 7, 8. What?
1 dog.
What is that?
I get 1 dog for.
You get 1 dog. No, your joke was super high quality. You get 5 dogs for my boyfriend's design thinking joke. 5 out of 5 dogs. So, okay, sorry, back to this person. I really don't know. I would say if we know each other, contact me. Let me help you out. If we don't know each other, contact me. Let me help you out. Everybody gets 1 free coaching call with me, and this sounds like the kind of thing that is good to have a one-on-one conversation with, because I need to know more about you and your goals and your needs and your preferences and your stuff to be able to try to be any sort of helpful career mentor or coach to you. So head on over to deltacx.com/links. Sign up for the free coaching call. Everybody, if your question's easily answered here, don't burn your 1 free coaching call with me to ask me something that you can ask me here. Save it up. But if it's something that we can talk about here, ask it here, because that way I can help everybody with it. But when it's really quite personal to you and your career goals, it's so hard for me to say something really helpful, because I just need to know you a little bit more. All right, let's see what other questions we have. Let's also make sure I'm not missing any anonymous ones. We've only got 10 minutes left. So remember, I'm here every Tuesday, sometimes alone and sometimes with a guest. And so you can always come by and ask your questions. Your questions can also be asked 24 hours a day at deltacx.com/links. That's how I started off the show, with 5 questions ready to go. People sent them while I was sleeping. All right, this was a question we got before in the chat room. Let's put it up. And bump up the font, even though I know this is definitely too small to read for anybody on a phone, but still hopefully helpful. Hi, Debbie. I noticed that most or all companies ask for people who have experience more than 3 or 5, I assume that's years. What about entry-level UX designer? Because I see less opportunities. This is absolutely true. I think this is Miriam's question. And this is one of the many reasons why I am warning people about trying to come into UX now. It is the hardest time I've ever seen in my life to try to get a UX job, especially your first UX job. Definitely the first is harder than the second or later. The doors are closed. Basically, people decided, thanks to democratization that we'll be talking about tomorrow, that's one of the reasons why you can't get a job, is instead of hiring a UX junior, people said, UX is easy. Let's just have product managers do some design or do some research. Now your job doesn't exist. So I think that there should be entry-level jobs. There should be apprenticeships that welcome people with some foundational knowledge and some beginner skills who are there to learn. And a lot of companies still aren't doing this. So, okay, we have a question from Ralica, which I'll cover in a moment because this is our last question as of now. So, I don't have any good news for people who are job seekers other than to take the time to have some self-awareness and make sure that UX is really for you and that it's really burning in your heart. Because if it's not burning in your heart, find what is. You'll be happier doing that anyway. And if UX is burning in your heart, then you have to just stick with it and keep practicing and keep getting mentoring and coaching and keep trying to level up until you find that apprenticeship or entry-level job. But they're very rare right now because people want experienced people who don't need training and will hit the ground running. And we can understand that. We can, everybody, empathize with anybody who needs that level of practitioner. But we also have to remember that we have to open the doors and create jobs for people. And that's one of the reasons why I'm against democratization, which we'll cover in detail tomorrow. So Miriam, let me know if you have a follow-up question there, or if anybody has a follow-up question. Okay, Ralica says, show question. When will we have Jennifer Kleinens back? Last session was great. We didn't cover everything. No, you can't cover everything. I would say let me know. You can always send me a private note. Some of the topics you're hoping she'll cover so that I can be more focused and send something to her and say, hey, we have another request for you to be on the show. And this time, we're going to show up with last time she had her PowerPoint deck, so we just used that as the center of our focus. And hey, we have someone who wants you to talk about a thing. All right, let's see Aaron's question. Aaron is our Slack hero from yesterday who found an obscure quote from me when I couldn't find it. All right, Aaron's question says, we have a local company that hosts regular job shadowing events. Have you ever heard of companies that conduct UX job shadowing events or courses? What are your recommendations about attending such an event if available nearby? Well, it's 2022, so my first recommendation is wear a mask, since it sounds like you might actually be sitting with someone, and that is still slightly dangerous. Yeah, absolutely. If you can have an experience to shadow somebody, definitely take it. Now, what if you end up shadowing someone who sucks at UX or is doing things wrong? Okay, you may or may not know if you're looking at someone doing UX well, but I would still go and watch them. Miriam says, yep, I got my certificate. I'm still learning. Yeah, unfortunately, the certificate is not enough because 600,000 people are in the Google UX course. So the certificate, unfortunately, doesn't help people stand out. And it is a really low level of UX education. It's very surface level. And I think it's more about design thinking than it is about UX. And design thinking and UX aren't the same thing. Design thinking. So Aaron, I think it's a yes for sure. Whenever you can get the opportunity to shadow someone, because that's your opportunity to ask questions. A shadowing is not just you sitting in silence. If the person asks you to sit in silence, they did not get the memo that shadowing is definitely the opportunity for someone to watch you work. And as you're working, they should be thinking out loud like I do on the Monday show, and you should be asking questions. Hey, what made you put that box over there? Hey, how did you know that icon goes there? Hey, where did you get that information from? Now, they might be bothered by you and they might tell you to shut up, but to me, a good shadowing is someone who is asking questions, and I should be expected to answer them and to be thinking out loud. So you could also start out with that person and say, hey, my mentor suggested that in a shadowing opportunity, I ask lots of questions. Will it be okay to interrupt you here and there and ask you some questions as you're working? Now, if they say, no, that doesn't work for me, then you should say, well, I will have questions. When should I ask them? You might have to write them down and ask them later. But, work it out with that person. But shadowing for sure, yes. Okay. No other questions in the email. We've only got 5 minutes left to the show, so let's talk about what's coming up on the show for the next week or two. We have so many things planned. I want to make sure everybody's marked their calendars. And do remember that we do have a Google Calendar at deltacx.com/links. If you use Google Calendar, you can add our calendar to your calendar, and you will always know when things are happening, and you will not be surprised or confused. We have the calendar. It is free. Just add it. So tomorrow we're talking about anti-democratization. That is going to be at a different time than usual. It's going to be an hour and a half later. Dr. Ari is our guest, so it's going to be 8 p.m. Italy time, 8 p.m. Central Europe time. That is 6 o'clock 2 p.m. in New York. Usually we're on 12:30, so just offset things by an hour and a half for only tomorrow. Wednesday, no show. Friday, Critical Thinking is back. We took a week or two off, so I've got a pile of things that you've been sending in. If you'd like to send in something for the Critical Thinking stream, deltacx.com/links has the form you can use to send in something for the Critical Thinking stream. Let's see what else is going on. Ooh, Monday we're doing a special show that Chiwat recommended. Chiwat wanted to see a show where we talk about names, dates, and addresses, and some of the terrible digital UX around that, and how we, in both research and design, can do a better job with some of the experiences around names, dates, and addresses. So that's going to be, I'll try to look up some examples. Maybe you'll have some examples, and you can yell them out, and we'll go to them, and we'll live analyze them. So get ready with some crappy and good examples of names, dates, and addresses, and phone number stuff on web forms. Tuesday is next Tuesday is not going to be office hours. We're going to press pause on that. Instead, we are going to do a special Halloween edition on November 1st with Stephanie Walter. It's the Unethical and Wacky Stories show. So we're calling it Stories of the Unethical and Wacky. This came about when we had some different discussions in Slack, and then some of you saw on LinkedIn that I had some guy put on his LinkedIn that he worked for me when he didn't. Woohoo! So Tuesday is going to be a silly, wacky, bring your own stories, send them in anonymously, stories of unethical and wacky UX people and coworkers. So it's going to be a little bit of blowing off steam. Wednesday, November 2nd is another special show. We have a lot of special shows coming up the next few weeks. I want to tell you all about them. People have requested that I do a show Wednesday, November 2nd on time management. People wonder how I manage my time and how I seem to get so much done. Now, obviously, I've got a very deliberately designed life, and that's part of it. But part of it is also how I stay organized. So I'll be showing my calendar and some other, even if it embarrasses me, even if there's embarrassing doctor's appointments in there, I'm going to be showing my calendar. I'm going to be talking about how I handle time management and things like that. This is different from the project planning show. This is a little bit more personal time management and how I make sure I get my work done every day and what happens if I don't get it done. Thursday the 3rd of November is going to be our monthly hangout. We're going to try Remo this month instead of AirMeet, since I'm trying to move away from AirMeet. Friday is Critical Thinking, Friday, November 4th. So that is normal. Monday, November 7, back to Think Out Loud. Tuesday, November 8, office hours with Dr. Nick. I hope it still works for him. And November 9 was supposed to be a rescheduled Darren Hood show. I'll have to make sure that he can still do it. I'm not sure whether or not I'm going to do a show on Friday, November 11. Piermario and I are traveling to Milano. If anybody is near Milano, let's get together. Okay, so that's what's coming up on the show the next couple of weeks. Lots of stuff, and a lot of it were your requests and recommendations. So remember, if you've got a request or recommendation, send it to me however you like to communicate with me. It could be through Slack or LinkedIn or Discord or email. Just get it to me, and usually we'll make a show out of it. So with that, I would say thanks to everybody for your super questions. We'll be taking next week off on office hours so that we can do spooky stories of unethical and wacky people. And then we'll be back in 2 weeks. So if you do send in a question in the next week or so, I'll be answering it in 2 weeks. Okay, I will play us out of here, and I'll see everybody tomorrow a little bit late, 8 p.m. Italy time for anti-democratization. Come bring your questions and perspectives. You might be for democratization. Let's hear what you think and why. So come bring your questions and perspectives. Thanks, everybody, and see you tomorrow. Customer centricity as business intelligence. Visit deltacx.com to learn why we are